what's the difference between what we did the first exercise and the second?
Energy.
Energy. Okay, another word.
Yeah.
What else?
Fun.
Fun. Okay.
Smiling.
Rejuvenating.
Yes, it really changed, didn't it? How fast did you do that?
Real fast.
Piece of cake.
Real fast. You did, didn't you? You did it like that, thinking of a happy memory. Did you know that you can do that on a normal basis? Did you know that it takes less than a minute to change the chemistry in your brain? You can change the chemistry in your brain in 2 minutes totally. I'm going to teach you how to do that in just a minute, but you can change the chemistry in your brain in just the snap of a finger with training. You can put yourself into that state, that new state, by teaching yourself a technique.
Either direction.
Either direction. You can, but why would you want to go the negative direction?
Well, you wouldn't.
At least I wouldn't. So, I'm trying to teach you guys a practical tip. You know, a lot of times speakers will come, yes sir.
Well, you could catch yourself going in the other direction and reverse.
Yes you can.
You know that you can do that.
Absolutely, and that, yes sir.
I'm just going to say, all it takes is a little energy.
It does.
Even if you feel bad, you can put on your happy face and influence a lot of others, which is very, very important from a leadership position.
And you're
You
right.
want them to be co-workers and everything. You want them to be.
And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Thank you for bringing up that point. I really appreciate it. Okay, so now we are going to do one more exercise. Everyone is going to go to that negative place where you were a while ago just for like 15 to 20 seconds. It's not a good feeling, is it? But we're going to put ourselves there so I can teach you how to change that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put ourselves in that negative state, and then I'm going to yell stop. When I yell stop, I want everybody to stand up. So we're going to do this seating. I want everyone to stand up. I want you guys to yell stop. And then I want you to think of the thought that you put on that paper. Okay, is everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, so negative, and I'll count it down in my head and then I'll tell you to stop, okay? Negative, go. Stop. Everybody jump up and yell stop. Stop! Okay, now put yourself in the happy state. What do you think about what's on the card?
We're there.
Okay, you guys are there already, aren't you? Do you see how quick that was? You see how fast you went from negative to positive? That is learning to break a pattern. Okay, thank you. Everybody please be seated. So, how many times have you guys been sitting on a sofa and you think, oh, I've got to go in the kitchen and get a drink of water, and then what happens? You get to the kitchen and you're going, what was I doing? That's because you broke the pattern in your brain of what you were planning to do, correct? So, you can do the same thing with your thoughts and feelings. How we hold our body affects what happens in our brain. I don't know whether you've heard the research of Amy Cuddy, but you've probably heard of power posing or standing in the Superman, Superwoman position. If you, before you go into a meeting, I encourage people who are going for job interviews or going for a big meeting to go do this in the bathroom stall, because no one can see you. But if you will stand for just 120 seconds, 2 minutes, in a powerful position, she found that you actually increase the testosterone in your brain, your power hormone, and yes, both women and men have that, and you decrease your cortisol, your stress hormone, significantly. In 2 minutes, you can change your brain chemistry. So many times we think, oh my goodness, you know, I've had a bad week. There's not a whole lot I can do. Just life sucks right now. Or, boy, that was a bad meeting, and I cannot do anything about it. Yes, you can. You tell yourself, stop. You find positive things to dwell on. You make yourself a list of things that you can do, that you have, that you are thankful for, that you are blessed to have, and things that make you happy. Everyone in here, even if they don't have something in their current life, has something in their past that surely has made them happy. And if you will use those techniques, you'll be able to change not only your body language, but to change your brain chemistry. Okay, a couple of more things that I would like to teach you this morning. So we're going to talk about how to go from a bad mood to a good mood. Because so many people that I work with, I find really in today's society, if you listen to the news, if you're in the workplace, you're going to have those days that are rough. So how can we change how we communicate with people better? Well, one of the things that you can do is that you can be in the moment. Before you walk into that situation, you can take a breath and you can choose, okay, I put myself in the right state, which is just what we learned to do, putting yourself in the right state, and then you can choose, okay, I'm not gonna think about all those other things that are whirring around in my brain. I am only gonna think about what I have to do when I walk in that room. So that you are intentional and you're paying attention to who and what you need to do. If you will walk into a room like that, you've already established that better communication. When you are talking to someone, if you will make sure that when you shake their hand, that you're not looking around the room, that you're actually giving them your focus. How many times do we walk in and we shake hands with somebody, good morning, and we don't look at them? Good morning, yes. You've noticed people do that to you. That says you are not valuable. That says, oh yeah, I'm shaking your hand because it's a customary thing to do, but it doesn't say, I value you. People tell me I have an unusual way. It's not something that I am innately gifted with. It's not something that I'm special about, is special about me. It's something that I have developed that I have to remind myself continually to be in that moment. How much time do I have left? Because I forgot to pick an official timer.
18 minutes.
18 minutes, wonderful. We had plenty of time.
13.
13 minutes. See, you just took 5 minute numbers. Okay. So I taught you how to interrupt your patterns. So I have to figure out what more can I tell you in the time we have left, because I do have a couple more games and I want to make sure we get to play those too. So one of the things that we do so many times with body language, I can speak all day, and in fact I do, on body language. I love body language. I think we can learn so much about ourselves if we learn to communicate better. But one of the problems with that right now is body language is really popular. I love that body language is popular. However, that means that you will find things on the internet that say, if you crossed your arms, you're closed. That is not necessarily true. Yes, you can be closed by crossing your arms, but did you know there's actually 6 ways to cross your arms? One is comfort, one is cold, one is anger, one is closed, and there's 2 others that we're not going to go into right now, but there are actually 6 predominant ways, and it has to do with what you're doing with your hands. You don't read people from the head down. You read people from the feet up. The feet tell me more about your body and what you are thinking and what you're meaning than what your head does. Your head tells me a lot, but your feet tell me even more, your positioning. So there's so many things to learn about body language. So I want you to sort of throw out some of those things that you've heard on the internet and some of those pop psychology things that are going around right now. And I want you to not assume, because when we make assumptions about people, we often wind up with the wrong conclusions, right? We think, oh, they didn't want to talk to me because they didn't say hello. Well, maybe they're thinking about what just happened or the fight they had with their spouse or how they just got some bad news from someone or something else. So don't assume, listen to what the person is really saying. That's one of the best things I can tell you. Sometimes you have a conversation and you're thinking, oh my goodness, where did this conversation go wrong? One of the things that we were doing well, and then all of a sudden something clicked. That actually has to do with something called meta messages, and that's a whole topic in itself. But there is a way you can recover it. You can do a couple of things, and the things that I can teach you right now is one, you can stop and pause, and you can frame it directly and say, I'm sorry, we seem to have gotten off track here. Could you please tell me what you're thinking? And because if you ask somebody what you're feeling in this culture, that doesn't go over well. But you can ask them what they're thinking. And if you ask them what they're thinking, that maybe they will think, oh, what am I thinking? And reframe. The other thing that you can do is that if somebody is crossing their arms, and this is not manipulation, this is telling somebody that you understand how they're feeling. If they are crossing their arms or if they're sitting like this, you can do the same thing in a subtle way. And what that does is not say, I'm copying you, but it says, by putting your body in that same position, I understand how you're feeling. I understand where you're coming from. And then if you get in tune with that person, which that will help you do, then you can change your body language, and if you guys are in tune, then they will change theirs. They will begin to copy you, because that becomes a natural part of conversation. Okay, so how many of you guys work in a field where you have to use at least some creativity? And please, everybody raise your hand, because we have to be creative every single time. So we are going to play another game. So everyone, please stand up, and I will explain the game. Okay, there are so many times, actually I'm going to do two things. I'm going to teach you a breathing technique because there are so many times when we are needing to be creative and all of a sudden it's like our brain shuts down. It's all of a sudden like, oh no, I don't know what I was going to say or what I was supposed to be talking about. Usually the reason that that happens is because unconsciously we have stopped taking in quality breaths. When we stop breathing properly, the amygdala takes over, you cannot think clearly, you suddenly become foggy brain. So we're gonna learn a breathing technique that you can do that's very subtle, that you think, I can't think clearly, I can breathe. Okay, so I hope you guys planned to breathe this morning. You know, you didn't know when you came here that you were gonna get all this exercise, you thought you were gonna go to the gym later, no, we're gonna do it now. So, everyone, this is a breathing technique where we're doing 4, 4, 4. There's many, many breathing techniques, but this is one of the best that I like because it's quick and subtle. So, everybody take a deep breath in for 4 seconds. Try to do it for a whole 4 seconds. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Let go for 4 seconds. Most of you either weren't participating or I couldn't see it. That's the point. People can't see you doing this. If you're doing it right, it's not a deep breathing technique like some of the others. So you can do it in a meeting. You can do it anywhere you are because people can't see. They're not seeing that, oh, well, all of a sudden they're breathing deeply, so there must be something wrong, which is one assumption that people make. But you can do this and it'll clear your head, your brain will get the oxygen it needs to function properly, and you'll be able to do it. So let's do it again. Everybody in for 4 seconds. Hold. Out. Okay, so now you know a new breathing technique that you can use that's subtle when you start to get stressed. The second thing is a whole lot more fun than the breathing technique. This is going to teach you to be creative. So we have to so many times walk in and you're expected to perform on the spot, right? How many times have you walked in the door and somebody shoots a question at you, like they did this gentleman over here this morning and he was like, my mind is 10 other places. So I'm gonna teach you a technique you can do in the car, and you will be able to use this technique to create some creativity before you go to a meeting. So you guys are gonna get in groups again because it's gonna be a competition and you're gonna work together. And you're going to call things like they are not. So, but you cannot plan it. That's the trick. So instead of, this is a table, right? So I'm gonna say it's a box. So instead of, you're gonna point at buttons, point at belts, point at shoes, point at floors, point at anything in the room, and you are gonna call it something other than what it is. And we're gonna do this for about 30 seconds to a minute, depends on how, but I will explain why we're doing this afterwards. Okay, so everybody understand the game? Any questions? Okay, get in your group, ready, set, go.